Happy day, everybody. My name is Jeremy, and this is Barbecue Elementary. Today, I'll be beer brining and smoking my Thanksgiving turkey, a super easy and really satisfying recipe. So without wasting any more time, let's go. I'd always wanted to brine a turkey in beer, and I found a recipe on foodandwine.com that I actually kind of liked, so I modified it a little bit and just went for it. So I started by toasting up a couple herbs and spices, starting with a 1/4 cup of these yellow mustard seeds, followed by 2 tablespoons of black cherry peppercorns, and lastly about 5 or 6 dried bay leaves. And toasting here is a really important step as it opens up the aromatics and creates a more intense flavor for the brine. I then added 4 cups of water, 1 cup of kosher salt, 1 cup of brown sugar, and stirred it together till everything was dissolved. I then smashed about 5 or 6 garlic cloves and cut 2 yellow onions into quarters, skin and all. And last but not least, the star of the show. My neighbor owns a really cool brewery in Denver and hooked me up with some beer, and I thought they would go perfectly for this recipe. So I started off with 48 ounces, but I actually needed 64 ounces of Steve Brown Ale from Reverence Brewing Company. I then added in all of my prepped ingredients, the onion, the garlic, the brine base, and gave it a good stir. I topped off this concentrate with about 12 more cups of water, then put the whole thing in the fridge to chill. Now, besides simply unwrapping this nearly 13-pound bird, there's really not much prep besides making sure all of the innards and neck is out of the cavity, and it was time to put it in the brine. I wanted to make sure that the turkey was fully covered, so this is where I added the last 16 ounces of beer and another 4 cups of water. Then I used the little enameled cast iron pan lid that I have to push the turkey down and keep it submerged. Then I put the whole bucket in my fridge for the next 24 hours. I picked up these turkey pellets from Traeger, and many folks seem to love it. It comes with a brine kit that I didn't really need, but the rub that was in there smelled really good, so I decided to use that. After this turkey's 24-hour brine bath, all I needed to do was pat the bird dry and prep the roasting pan. And all I did for this step was to add onions to the pan from the brine, and I also added about a cup of this low-sodium chicken stock to not only keep the bird moist during cooking, but also fortify the turkey drippings for gravy. Then it was time to apply the rub, and I admit, I did it pretty poorly. I really only had 1 shot at this, and that tiny little bag of rub from the kit, but I made it work this time. After I put the wings behind the turkey's back and tied up his legs with a little butcher twine, I decided to go back with a little freshly ground black pepper and salt to touch up any of the spots that I didn't see any rub. I preheated the Traeger to 225 degrees and let it run like that for the first hour, really hoping that by going low and slow I could get an extra layer of smoke flavor. Then after that first hour I turned it back up to 350 to let it cruise for the rest of the time, which ended up only being about 2.5 hours. I opened the lid every once in a while to check on color and temperature, but like I said, at the 2.5 hour mark I was hitting the right temperatures and the color was looking really nice. It was time to pull it. After admiring the beautiful color for a handful of moments, it was time for the gravy. It's usually a pretty good idea to let any meat this size rest for about 20 to 30 minutes at the least, so while that was happening, I strained the juices from the roasting pan, added a cup of chicken stock, and boiled to reduce for about 7 to 10 minutes. Then I mashed a tablespoon of flour into a tablespoon of soft butter, added that into the gravy, and boiled it down for another 10 to 15 minutes until it was perfectly thick and pourable. And with the gravy wrapped and the turkey sufficiently rested, this Thanksgiving recipe is complete. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the rich, unique flavor that the beer gave to the brine, as well as how tender and moist that the turkey stayed throughout the cook. This is 100% a recipe I recommend and will try again. I obviously couldn't finish a video without giving you a nice half-moon bite out of a humongous turkey leg, so there you have it. And as always, thanks a million for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to follow me along on my adventures through Barbecue Elementary.